Hey Ron, John Duggan is here. How you doing?
Ger, Eoin, good morning.
Celebrating?
Aye, look, it wasn't a bad evening.
When did you...
Folks, we showed this to you on Thursday, if you remember, folks.
I was sick. Go on.
We showed you this bet. We told you what the bet was. Now, Rory was the headline tip.
Remind me about the bet.
€20 on Rory at 11s, 5 each way on Russell Henley, 5 each way on Patrick Cantlay, and 5 each way on Patrick Reed.
Nice.
At 50 to 1.
50 to 1.
So 50 quid, folks, we told you here, turned into 310 quid.
Wow.
So that's not too bad.
That's pretty bloody... 50 to 1?
Yeah.
Why was he such an outsider? I didn't realise he was that much of
He'd
an
never
outsider.
broken 70 at Augusta before. And people may be factoring course form into it. And he'd never really... Well, he'd won top 10 in the major, which was last August at the PGA. But
Why did you think... What in the build-up made you think?
Well, I thought that... Well, this is a very good player, a marquee player. He's been in 2 Ryder Cups. He's been starring for the United States in Ryder Cups. Of course, they call him Captain America in that brilliant singles match at Rory at Hazeltine. He's won 5 times the PGA Tour. He's only 27 and age is definitely on his side. He's a young player and he's just got a lot of natural talent. And I like the way he hits the ball right to left. I think he's an extremely good putter, and I think that was borne out over the last 4 days. So just because, I remember Vijay Singh years ago didn't have great Masters form and then he came and won it. So just because a player takes a few years to get used to something, I think one of these, the Augusta is one of these courses you need a bit of experience around.
You mentioned the Ryder Cup there. It seems that Patrick Reed played yesterday like it was singles Sunday at the Ryder Cup. It seemed like he was completely aware of everything Rickie Fowler and Jordan Spieth were doing. He was judging by the roars, and he mentioned the fact that you could hear a roar coming from the 18s when they were on 17, and he knew that it was Rickie Fowler, not a John Ram roar. He talks about being one up at that point, just approaching it, playing it completely like match play, which essentially I guess you have to do sometimes when you've got that sort of lead going down the home straight on Augusta.
Well, there was no hoopering and hollering. There was no fist pumping or playing to the gallery, and it's much more genteel at Augusta, and is obviously a different type of format. But his as was Ian Dowie would say, his bounce back ability was exceptional. On the first tee, he made a bogey.
It was actually insane that every time somebody got close to him, he's like, oh, he's going to pull out an amazing shot and get a birdie.
Well, imagine the roars. Imagine you're hearing the roars for Jordan Spieth, and I'm sure he was checking leaderboards. I couldn't believe Jordan Spieth wasn't checking leaderboards. It was an interesting point. We'll come to in a moment, but. On the 12th, he made a really big putt for birdie on the 12th, that par 3 hole. On 14, a great approach, made birdie. But I think that the putt that won it, and he was the top of the putting stats all week, was the one on 17. Spieth had just got in there with the 64. Rickie Fowler was closing him down as well, and he made that up and down on 17. And that gave him the comfort to know that if he made par down the last, if he got it on the fairway, he'd win the Masters, and that's what he did. Yeah.
I didn't realise Speith, again, hadn't been... Sorry, it's on the TV here, that's why I'm kind of keeping an eye on it. But I didn't realise Speith hadn't been checking leaderboards. And you do feel that, like, with the amount of holes that were left, if Speith had parred 18, it might have been different.
It might have been different, absolutely,
like, because we didn't really see the psychological impact of that surge from Speith having any kind of knock on him. But if he'd posted a course record equaling on the final day, then suddenly it's like, ooh, okay, that's real. Well, but the bogey on 18 must have been like, yeah, you just bogeyed 18.
Well, if Reed is looking at the leaderboards all the time, and he was a few holes behind, and he sees Spieth at 14, it's a big difference between having 2 shots and 1 shot. And you can't really blame Spieth or have a go at him for doing anything yesterday, because I call him a unicorn. He's a unicorn golfer, and he's able to do things that no other golfers can. I mean, when you look at Spieth, if he's in the zone and if you feel he's had a run on him, and if you look at a Spieth with a 20-foot putt, you know what, this is going in.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what happened like 9 times
and
yesterday.
It's insane.
And it banishes, I think, the whole Danny Willett thing, and I think Jordan Spieth at the moment is looking like completing the career Grand Slam before Rory Mcilroy does.
Yeah. It felt like last year, obviously, at the Open was the moment when people got on side with Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
Because obviously he started... Not that he's a cold person, it was just that he's pretty straight up, pretty blunt, and there isn't a whole lot of bubbliness around.
But he's
Jordan
a bit
Spieth.
apple pie. He's a bit, very please sir, thank you sir.
Yeah.
Everything is very kind of nice and gentlemanly in that. But his golf is completely crazy in ways, and that is, people are going on Twitter that he's like Nick Faldo. He's nothing like Nick Faldo. Jordan Spieth is the most entertaining golfer you can watch.
Yeah,
and
it felt like yesterday everybody was rooting for Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, because people are rooting for.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy.
Patrick Reed, not a good guy.
Well. There's a lot of that talk.
There's a checkered past.
There's a checkered past. There's a really good article by Alan Shipnook in golf.com about the fact that he's estranged from his parents, and they live in Augusta.
Yeah.
which is kind of sad.
Did he find out why? Because I haven't read that one yet, but I was in the Deadspin one.
I just think it's, they didn't go to the wedding, and I think that's probably where the fissure, whatever the reasons were.
They probably weren't invited.
Well, we don't know. We don't know that. But, there's a lot of
People would
Patrick Reed.
report that at college, Patrick Reed would phone his dad and it would end up with a screaming match on the phone. People would be listening to this now. This is obviously people who didn't like him who are reporting this back as well, because he didn't have any friends in college. So
there's accusations about Patrick Reed about cheating on the golf course in college, and accusations even worse about stealing.
Yeah.
And it's all from one side. And Patrick Reed and his wife, they haven't got into the back and forth in it. He's strenuously denied the accusations, has admitted that he was a bit of a frat boy in college. There was an alcohol misdemeanour.
I think he's actually trying to push that, in fact.
Yeah.
As opposed to what else might have happened at Georgia.
There's a couple of things here. First of all, should all sports stars, they automatically be paragons of virtue? They're all human beings. There are some, of course, we admire and we love what they do, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they're great people. Some you can love, some you can take or leave.
Cheating at golf is bad, right?
This
is supposed to be the sport where it's like, we have to trust you because you ultimately...
But it's the cardinal sin of golf.
Exactly.
It's the cardinal sin of golf. And we don't know if he cheated, but there's a whiff there, I suppose. And that has made it a little bit of a sour cover in terms of the coverage of it. But you cannot fault the way Patrick Reed played for 4 days at the Masters. He richly deserved the win. On Friday he shot 66. I think 4 times he had a stretch of 3 birdies in a row. Then he had eagles on 13 and 15 on Saturday. And every time they put it up to him, he was brilliant, especially with the flat stick.
Rickie Fowler, I'm loath to say a stereotypical Rickie Fowler performance when it's just out of reach. He is sensational.
This is different. This is different, Rickie Fowler. And Butch Harmon, I was listening to him closely on Sky because I really like Rickie Fowler. I think he's just of all the golfers I've observed over the years, just a top fella. Even though I don't know him, and we don't know these guys really below the surface. But I think it's his 8th top 5 in majors. And this is different because he shot 65, 67 over the weekend. Butch Harmon, I think, has given him a lot of tough love and saying, remember that famous comment last year about you're the Kardashian of golf and you're spending too much time on social media and that, and you are not able to do it on the weekends and majors. Well, Rickie Fowler got to the 18th yesterday and had to deliver a birdie, and he did it. And I think this is a big deal for Rickie Fowler. He's not 30 yet. He's too good. I watched him very closely Thursday and Friday. I don't think he played very well, but he played very well the weekend, and his putting was sublime. And also, Rickie Fowler can play any course. He loves playing in the wind. He loves playing links golf, and I think the major is just around the corner. And that's what concerns me for Rory Mcilroy, because you're looking at all the last 4 majors have been 27 years or younger. Koepka, Reed, Speith, and who the other one? Justin Thomas.
All-American as well.
An All-American. And the talk of the career Grand Slam and that, and Rory now is, and John Rahm, of course, yesterday, who's this absolute monster, who he'd love in a barroom brawl with you. You just go.
We didn't. Somebody, Tommy was pointing out the pictures of. He was shaking hands with Rickie Fowler, and he's like twice the size of him. Now he might have been on a slope, but now they're there on the green. They're looking. It's like Owen and Ty Furlong.
Look, John Rahm is
he's a beast.
137 to 4th in the year, and if it wasn't for the 75 on the opening day, I think he was 14 under par for the last 3 rounds. His irons were just incredible, and he has that brute strength, and he is very, very mercurial. You really feel like the clubs are going to go into the lake.
They nearly did at one point. So just to go back to Rory briefly, I was concerned that he was never going to be relevant again coming towards the end of last season. Pardon me. And even at periods at the start of this year. I think it's okay. It's like the putting let him down and everything else was fine. So if his putter gets hot the way it was 3 weeks ago, then you do have a feeling like this guy can win again. And it's just making sure that his putting gets good, because that his irons and his approaches, the 5-6 missed putts in the first 9 holes yesterday.
He hit just 8 greens in regulation, so there's definitely other parts of his game that aren't up to scratch at the moment as well. Well,
at the first 3 days he was brilliant, and he didn't miss anything. And he's 65 on Saturday. He only hit 8 greens yesterday. I found it strange that he was doing that talk on Saturday night, putting up to Patrick Reed about the pressures on him, and he's never won a major before, and that struck me that the career Grand Slam was more in his head that he was letting on. Look, Rory McIlroy is an artist. I still think he's the best golfer in the world. in terms of natural talent. And I said that before the tournament started, and he was my tip to win, overall tip. But I'd be just a little bit concerned with the way what I saw yesterday, because Rory McIlroy could go out now and win the US Open at Shinnecock Hills, or he could win the Open at Carnoustie, but that's not the one he wants. The one he wants is the Masters. And for the first time since 2011, he put himself in a position to win it, because Reed, you know, he shot 1 under par. It was an easy day. It was an easy day out there. There was a little wind. You know, we saw the scoring, Speith and Fowler scoring. So I just couldn't understand the tempo at times. I couldn't understand at 7, they were like exchanging clubs, himself and Harry Diamond, very quickly. At 11, pitched it very quickly and made a bogey. I'm just going, just chill it, relax, calm down here. Just take a bit of a deep breath. And people are going once again on social media, did that putt on 2 affect him? It shouldn't affect him. Like, okay, he missed the putt for eagle, but just get on with it.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw with Reed. Every time, all week, when Reed was put it up to him, he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to dig in here. I'm going to make a birdie or a par to get out of it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because when you compare those two characters, like in that Deadspin article as well, it alludes to some of the stuff, the self-hazing almost of Patrick Reed, and some of the absolutely horrific things he's been overheard to say to himself when he misses a putt or whatever. With Rory McIlroy, it seems that he's not as hard on himself verbally, but it affects him more when he has a bad hole. Like Reed, it's almost cathartic when he starts lambasting himself after a hole, but then he forgets it. Whereas with Rory, I think there is some truth in the fact that maybe that missed eagle at 2 did affect him.
Well, you see with Rory, it's all about you can even tell Rory by the walk, the swagger. You can see, you know, when he's playing well, you get that swagger.
Definitely.
And then the shoulders kind of dropped, and you kind of felt that, you know, by the back 9, this guy's out of the conversation.
Totally, yeah.
Where with Patrick Reed, even at 12, when he made that birdie putt, you could just you know, he really showed the emotion for the first time. But I still think it wasn't Ryder Cup emotion; it was controlled emotion, because he knew what he was taking deep breaths. Remember, he going to 16, taking a massive deep breath, and then put the ball on the green. And 2-putted. So you got to hand it to him. You got to hand it to him. He doesn't lack self-belief, Patrick Reed. He was the kind of guy who would dress in red, you know, because Tiger could and he could.
Yeah.
And I think Tiger, in one of these articles I read, like put him down in one of the Ryder Cup meetings and said, well, when you won 74 tournaments and 14 majors, then we can talk about it. You know, Jordan Speith has got some good anecdotes of Reed, but I think when he did that shush at the Ryder Cup in Glen Eagles, that he got it designed and something onto his belt or something like that.
Oh, afterwards?
Yeah. So he's an interesting character. And
I was saying golf needs a villain. Like, it's, you know, all sports need villains. And
yeah, and look, we don't know the guy. We know what's been written about the guy.
Yeah, the body of evidence suggests he's, you know,
You know,
and actually, that's more of a reason to watch. Like, you want to see people beat him now. I definitely want to see people beat Patrick Reed.
Not everybody is going to be a Jordan Spieth or Rickie Fowler nice or Padraig Harrington nice. Sport does not work that way. And do we all think that Tiger Woods is holier than thou and an angel just because he did comeback? I don't. Would I want to go for a beer with Tiger Woods? Absolutely not.
I probably would. Like, yeah, at this stage I probably would. I'd be like...
You've forgiven him.
It's not about forgiveness. It's like, so, we've got plenty to talk about. I'm not sure I want to go for a beer with Patrick Reed.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. What would be your least favourite dinner party in golf? We kind of established earlier on that Patrick Reed and Bubba Watson are 2 of the 3. I'm not sure who the third person is. Tiger would be in my 3 people of ideal.
I can't really think off the top, mate. I'm more interested in the people I'd like to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Harrington and Rickie Fowler and these kind of guys, and Jack Nicklaus. You know.
Does it become a situation where the public perception of Patrick Reed just completely turns on its head? That everybody starts to admire him for his talent, and that maybe we haven't seen Patrick Reed yet. I doubt we have. That he's getting close to that peak for sure, but that he's going to get better. He might win a couple of more majors, and everybody just kind of parks that stuff and becomes accustomed to loving to hate Patrick Reed.
Well, I think it's a deep field, and we saw Danny Willett win a Masters, and he's gone nowhere since. So It's a deep field of talent with Thomas Rahm, you know, Rickie Fowler and that, and you know, Jordan Spieth and all the other players. So I think we have to wait and see if he's going to become like a top 5 player in the world. He's up to 11th now.
It felt like a fluke, whereas this feels like it's kind of it's about right. This guy's good enough to win this tournament.
He is, but Brooks Koepka blew them away at the US Open last year, and he once again hasn't really been seen since. So I think we're in an era, if Phil Mickelson's winning tournaments, World Golf Championships in Mexico, and if Tiger Woods is finishing tied 32nd at the Masters, I still think golf at the moment, it's lacking that superstar. Rory was that person. at the moment is a little bit.
Speith is that person too.
Speith is that person. We're just waiting for him to get to the next level. There's a good guy, Eddie Pepperell, who's a European Tour player.
Follow him on Twitter, yeah.
He's good fun on Twitter, and he just calls Speith. He's going to win double-digit majors. He's an absolute beast. And I think that there's one person we're probably taking out of this as going to be the dominant player in the game. It's probably Jordan Speith over the next few years, because I think that this will give him a huge amount of confidence. But Patrick Reed, yeah, I mean, he thoroughly deserved to win the game and the tournament, but I don't know. I mean, I remember watching him at the Open, and I don't think he dealt with links golf at all a couple of years ago. So is he going to become a multiple major winner? I don't know about that. But you know, he's a worthy member of the locker room, whether they like it or not at Augusta.
And can you pick 50-1 winners every week? Is that a?
I'm trying. I tried at Cheltenham. I'm going to try at Aintree this weekend. I'm going to try it at Punchestown over the next few weeks. But yeah, golf is where the money is, folks. Golf is where the money is in terms of betting. I'm just telling you.
That wouldn't have been my experience traditionally. It would feel like you're giving your money away.
It has never been my experience. I've never once won any money on golf.
I backed Patrick Reed at 13-8 on Saturday, but like
that's all right.
A small bet.
Yeah,
yeah. 5 each way. Just
that villain money is yours now.
Exactly. It was an emotional hedge. I obviously wanted Rory to win. I also, John Ram made a bit of a move on Saturday. I was like, this guy's sensational. So I stuck a $5 on him. And that was it.
Well, John Ram, you got to keep on the right side of his. Once again, he's a very young man in his early 20s. It's
brilliant that he has already announced he's coming back to the Irish Open this year. I was just thinking, watching all week, that like, geez, if he wins this, you're going to have the green jacket at Ballyliffin, which would have been sensational. But as it is, you've got like one of the best golfers in the world coming to defend his title, and
Rory,
and hopefully a lot of less pressure on Rory. That like it'll still be. This is his last one with the Rory Foundation. Is it this year?
Is it?
It's whatever. At some point soon, it's going to be Harrington hosting it, and it's going to be McGinley hosting it. So I don't know if this is the last Rory one, but you would feel like at least it's kind of this is back up and running now. I can hand it over and just go and actually play it.
Well, people go, Rory Mcilroy saved the Irish Open, and those tears were real when he won the Irish Open. So look, I think Rory Mcilroy's been great for Irish golf. I'm disappointed for him. I hope his reaction now will be very interesting over the next few months. Very interesting. And but John.
So you're concerned because there was definitely like talking to various people last night. I think he's back and relevant, and that's the most important thing, because the form will come. We've seen this, like he's streaky.
Always going to be relevant because the natural talent is so supreme. I remember at Muirfield in 2013, he walked off the green and he said he was brain dead, and then the next year he won 2 majors. He's always going to be relevant. He won the Tour Championship out of nowhere about 18 months ago. So I'm not worried about that. It's more about we're talking about the greatness of the game. We're talking about the double-digit majors. We're talking about, is it going to be Rory is going to be chasing down? That's what we're talking about. Rory's going to be chasing down Nicholas and Woods.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the conversation we're having anymore. And maybe the person we're having the conversation about regarding that is Jordan Spieth.
I don't know if anybody's ever going to... Is anybody going to get to 14, really? I don't think anybody's ever going to get to 18, but is anybody going to get to 14? These seem like marks now that the level of competition is so severe that there's no chance of it happening.
We don't know. I mean, yeah, look, of all of them, Jordan Spieth is the most likely. But yeah, he want to be probably winning a major year until he's 30 to get to that place where he's doing well. Charlie Hoffman was good to see him out a hole in one yesterday. Cameron Smith, the Aussie.
Ah, the child. Yeah. What a golfer.
You know, how did he get in there?
Jesus, he got to about 12.
Yeah. So he was a good story. Finished tied 5th of the US Open a couple of years ago. So Bubba Watson back to form, and Tiger as well. 88th in the world now, Tiger Woods, from 1,000 and something, wherever he was. Phil Mickelson, maybe the time is running out in Phil Mickelson in majors.
Has the time run out in Tiger to win a major?
It's 50-50, I would say. He'll need to show consistent form throughout the year, and the back will need to behave itself.
I think the British Open was always going to be the best opportunity for him, and I think I can see Mickelson competing at the Open until he's 50, 51, just being able to...
It's only 3 or 4 years now, and that's the problem with them. And like, once again, with these guys are young lads, and they don't have any fear. And the younger you are in golf, the less fear you have.
Paul McCabe, lads, can you thank John Duggan for the Patrick Reed tip? 5 each way at 50-1. That's not a bad weekend's work.
Paul, my eye is in. That's all I'll say.